I don't believe that recovery from a porn addiction is possible. And in fact, as somebody that has dedicated their life to helping men break free from the shackles of pornography addiction, and coming from somebody that has spent the last 5 years deep in the trenches, in the field, working with men, in the field, interviewing experts, creating curriculums, creating programs, and creating principles to freedom, I would go as far as saying that recovery from any addiction is not truly possible if your goal is walking in freedom. But I'm going to keep this video and this podcast specific to the topic of pornography addiction. You know, I shared my thoughts and opinions. I've interviewed half a dozen experts on the Supernatural Life podcast around why 12 steps, or what people would call traditional recovery methods, are ineffective. And one of the most shocking statistics came out of my conversation with James Swanwick, founder of Alcohol-Free Lifestyle. James has spent more than a decade working with people that struggle with drinking. He's created an organization of movements that has generated millions of dollars, that has helped thousands of people create an alcohol-free lifestyle. And when I interviewed James, he shared some statistics around the success rate of 12 steps. Did you know that 12 steps has a 93% failure rate? 93% of the people that go through the 12-step recovery program relapse, fall back into their addictive patterns within a 1-year time period. It's a broken model. It's ineffective. 12 steps doesn't work for alcohol. 12 steps doesn't work for pornography addiction. NoFap doesn't work for pornography addiction. Getting into a small group, talking about it with your brothers, finding an accountability partner, praying about it, doesn't work. These are methods of recovery. What we need is transformation. We need a real transformational experience to take place within us. Because through transformation, you become a different person. It's through transformation that you step into a new identity. It's through transformation that you rewrite and reprogram the desires within that are holding on to the addiction. Let's step back here and let's just talk practicality. What is recovery? What does the word recover actually mean? As somebody that was an athlete, I can remember having injuries coming up. I can remember breaking bones, tearing ligaments, spraining ankles, being put on the sideline with the hope that in a short period of time, I would recover so that I could return back to the field. But recovery for me back then was about getting back to the place where I was when the injury occurred. Now, anything beyond that was done in the training room. I needed to recover back to my status quo in order to return back to training to continue to grow and develop. So if we're looking at recovery as the way to get us out of the addiction, recovery is going to take us back to the point where we were the man that fell into the addiction. You see, I like to look at our struggles. I like to look at our addictions. I like to look at our challenges as lacking. Something's lacking within us. That's why we became addicted. You could have two men that live the same exact life, both introduced to pornography at the same time, both had the same life experiences, both were presented with the same challenges. One man got addicted, the other man didn't. Why? Because the man that didn't get addicted possessed something inside of him that kept him from falling into those patterns. There was something about him, a mindset, a skill set, a belief system, perseverance. All of these can be linked back to something within him. Now, the other person lacked that thing. That's why he fell into addiction. So if we're to take that other person down the path of recovering, we're going to help him come back to his status quo, where he was before he fell into the addiction. But what ended up happening there? You put a short period of focus and effort and intentionality in a short period of time to quote unquote recover. Then you feel sober for a short period of time, and then you step back out into life as the same person that you were prior to the addiction. That's why there's a 93% failure rate if you span the time period out long enough. Yeah, 12 steps will help you stay clean for 90 days. Praying every day will help you stay clean for 90 days. Going to a weekly meeting will help you stay clean for 90 days. But the minute you stop doing that thing, if you didn't transform inside, 12 steps, I don't see as a transformational experience. Most of the things that people are trying to do to get pornography out of their life are lacking transformational experiences. It's the same thing that happens in the weight loss industry. 90% of people that lose weight, that go on some type of weight loss journey, put the weight on, all of it, if not more, within a 12-month time frame, because they didn't change their identity. They didn't embrace a new lifestyle, a new way of living, new habits, new routines, new relationships with food, new relationships with exercise. Trying to quit porn, trying to be sober, trying to overcome lust are rooted in recovery, failed approaches, and failed principles. It's lacking transformation. It's lacking creating a new life. It's lacking creating new thought patterns. It's lacking creating new belief systems. It's lacking creating a new identity. And that's why it leads to the same place you were before. If you're watching or listening to this right now, you've gone periods without pornography in your life. And chances are you've gone extended periods of quote unquote recovery. But yet here you are, stuck, unable to truly break through, unable to truly walk in freedom, doubting yourself about whether or not this is really possible. Well, it is. Real freedom is attainable for each and every single man that is struggling with pornography. But it's got to start from within, from the belief that, yes, I can accomplish this, but it's got to follow a path of transformation. Transform into a new man that no longer wants, needs, or desires pornography in his life. Transform into a new man that when life throws him curveballs, that when life throws him obstacles, that when life throws him challenges, those things are not looked at as triggers to run back to the old way, but those things are looked at as opportunities for growth and development in this new path. If you're trying to quit porn and your day looks the same as it did when you were watching porn, that's a failed approach. If you're trying to quit porn, if you're trying to remove porn out of your life and you do not see yourself as a different person, that is a failed approach. You cannot recover your way out of a pornography addiction. You have to transform it, transform yourself in order to transcend the addiction. You cannot recover your way out of a pornography addiction. You have to transform within so that you can transcend the addiction. That is the only way. And that is what we've really honed in on here. It's been a 6-year walk for me. It's been a 5-year journey with other men. I knew some of these things early on, and they were very important in our early program, but it's become more and more clear, so evident to me that in fact, we are changing the organization. It will no longer be Rebuilt Recovery. This is coming down the pipeline. Rebuilt Recovery is becoming the rebuilt man. That's the title of our podcast show here. It's going to be the title of our organization. Because I've realized we do not do recovery. I am the best in the world at transforming men that are struggling with pornography addiction. And I transform them into the men that they must be to walk in freedom. I transform them into the men that they must be to lead their families. I transform them into the men that they must be to be the father to their kids. I transform them into the men that God is calling them to be. There's a voice that whispers inside of you. calls you to a thing, calls you to a place, calls you to an identity. That call, that whisper is the voice of the man that you must become. Every resistance to become that man is the work that must take place to walk in real freedom. It's not about transformation, man. I'm sorry, it's not about recovery. It is about transformation. And if you're ready to transform, if you're tired of being stuck, if you're fed up with mediocrity, if you want a life of more, if you want a life of freedom, then I invite you inside of our community for free for 1 week. Test drive what I do. One-to-one support, weekly group coaching, a curriculum of real transformation to lay out the steps over the next 12 weeks to unlock the thing that's inside of you that needs to be unleashed so that you can walk in freedom from this thing. It's included. Habit building courses, fitness programs, everything that you need to change who you are so that you can change the outcome of your life. I linked it down there below. Like I said, it's a free week trial. If you decide not to stay around with us, there's no obligation. But give it a shot. There's nothing to do. You've tried the recovery methods up until this point and it has not worked. Give transformation a real chance. School.com, SKOOL.com/reboot your life, or it's linked down there in the show notes below. But the biggest takeaway here is recovery is not the path. Recovery takes you back to where you were when you got addicted, and it's going to lead you right back to the same place that you are right now if you do not transform who you are and transform your life. School.com, SKOOL.com/reboot your life. It's linked down there in the show notes below. Coach Frank of the Rebuild Man, though. We love you guys. We'll see you in the next one.